They call him the people's leader. But behind that calm smile and those polished socialist speeches lies a life wrapped in quiet, almost invisible luxury. So who is Zohran Mamdani, really? A champion of ordinary people, or the soft-spoken face of untouchable privilege? Today, we peel back the curtain and step into the trillionaire life of Zohran Mamdani. Early life and education. From the very beginning, Zohran Mamdani lived in a world where nothing was out of reach. Money, comfort, opportunity. He had it all. Yet somehow, even as a child, he kept asking why others had none of it. Yes, you heard that right. Zohran Mamdani entered the world on October 18, 1991, in Kampala, Uganda, a place where his family name already opened doors. His father, Mahmoud Mamdani, wasn't just another academic. He was one of Africa's most respected scholars. His mother, Mira Nair, was an award-winning filmmaker whose movies starred Hollywood icons like Denzel Washington and brought African and Indian stories to global screens. Their home wasn't filled with toys. It was filled with books, cameras, and ideas, and those became Zoran's childhood playground. Even with all that privilege, his parents insisted he grow up with purpose. They gave him a direction, a legacy. And even if you've never heard a thing about Africa, you should know this. His middle name, Kwame, honors Ghanaian revolutionary Kwame Nkrumah, a living symbol of freedom and equality. Zoran grew up surrounded by conversations about politics, race, inequality. Conversations most kids never hear. And the surprising part? He listened. He absorbed everything. His father's academic career meant constant relocation, shaping Zoran with a rare blend of African and New York experiences. In 1996, when he was just 5, the family moved to Cape Town, right after the fall of apartheid. Racism had been legally dismantled, but its shadow still lingered in the air. There, at St. George's Grammar School, he learned firsthand what freedom and inequality look like in real life. By 1999, they moved again, this time to New York City. The Mamdanis settled in Morningside Heights, where Zoran attended the Bank Street School for Children, finishing in 2006. And of course, he didn't stop there. By 2010, he had completed his studies at the Bronx High School of Science in Kingsbridge Heights. During those years, Zoran helped co-found the school's cricket team and even ran unsuccessfully for student body vice president. But that loss revealed something more important: the early spark of a leader in the making. After high school, he moved on to Bowdoin College in Brunswick, Maine, graduating in 2014 with a Bachelor of Arts in Africana Studies. There, he co-founded the campus chapter of Students for Justice in Palestine, SJP, and immersed himself deeply in student politics, learning leadership the hard way, by starting from the bottom. You see, education didn't just teach Zoran facts and theories, it sharpened his defiance, and long before the world ever learned his name, the roots of justice had already begun to grow inside him. Career. New York. Tonight, you have delivered a mandate for change, a mandate for a new kind of politics, a mandate for a city we can afford. When Zoran Mamdani won the 2025 New York City mayoral election, the world stopped for a moment. Think about it. The youngest mayor since 1892, the first Muslim, the first Indian American, the son of immigrants, now standing at the helm of the biggest city in America. How does someone climb that high, that fast? It wasn't luck. I watched his rise. It was a story built on vision, and a kind of compassion you simply cannot manufacture. He didn't just appear one day and win. Long before the victory, Mamdani was working as a foreclosure prevention housing counselor in Queens, helping low-income immigrant families fight to keep their homes. That was his first real job. Not glamorous, not prestigious, but meaningful. And that work shaped every corner of his politics. Even earlier, his path had already begun taking unexpected turns. In 2015, Zoran stepped into the political arena by volunteering for Ali Najmi's city council campaign, a moment that showed him how ordinary people can challenge systems far bigger than themselves. A year later, in 2016, a different side of him took the spotlight. He composed the soundtrack for his mother's film, Queen of Katwe, earning a nomination for a Guild of Music Supervisors Award. A rare achievement, one that proved he wasn't only thinking about politics. He was living his purpose through art. By 2017, he officially joined the New York City Democratic Socialists of America, DSA, aligning himself with a movement rooted in justice, equality, and collective power. And then came 2019, the year he let a completely different part of himself speak. Through rap, under the name Mr. Cardamom, he released tracks like Nani, featuring his own grandmother. And what's fascinating is that every lyric carried the same messages his politics would later amplify. Pride, culture, resistance. It was all connected. The art, the activism, the purpose. You could already see the blueprint. So when I first heard he was running for the New York State Assembly, challenging Arabella Simotas, a long-established incumbent, I honestly laughed. It felt impossible. But then, he won. People said he had no experience, no big donors, no real shot. And here's the twist. People said the exact same thing in 2025 when he launched his mayoral campaign against political giants like Andrew Cuomo and Curtis Sliwa, with just 1% support. But you already know how that story ended. What's fascinating is this. While many people spend their entire lives searching for purpose, Mamdani walked straight into his. But don't think for a second he did it alone. Because the real story, the one most people never see, begins with his family. Supportive wife, and I must thank my incredible wife. Behind every public victory, there is always a quieter story, one of loyalty, patience, and faith. And in Zohran Mamdani's life, that invisible story begins with his wife, Rama Dwaji, the woman who transformed his political journey into something far deeper than campaigns and votes. Here's the truth. While Zoran was out front giving speeches, winning debates, shaking endless hands, Rama was behind the curtain, quietly shaping the image the public would come to recognize. She wasn't delivering speeches. She wasn't smiling for cameras. She barely even posted, except for one message after his victory. Couldn't possibly be, but behind the scenes she was sketching, planning, designing, turning his campaign visuals into a movement. Who did you think crafted the bold yellow, orange, and blue aesthetic that became the signature of Zoran's grassroots movement? Now you know. I've walked around the city, and if you've spent even a minute on those streets, you've probably felt it too. Her colors, her soft edges, her eye-friendly designs breathed new life into New York. Imagine this. You're just staring at a simple campaign poster, yet somehow it gives you that viral, electric feeling that you're part of something much bigger than yourself. That's what Rama did. That was her touch. How did she pull it off? Rama is a 28-year-old illustrator whose art often leans into socio-political themes. Her work has appeared in international outlets like the BBC. She grew up comfortably in Dubai, born to Syrian parents, though she first entered the world in Texas. She attended Virginia Commonwealth University in Richmond, Virginia in 2019, then continued her studies in Qatar, where she also led art workshops. When the COVID-19 pandemic hit, she returned to Dubai, and eventually in 2021, moved to New York City to chase her art career. All that traveling gave her the perfect blend of perspective, culture, and political sensitivity, exactly what she poured into Zoran's campaign visuals. Now, you're probably wondering how the two even met. Here's what most people have no idea about. Their love story didn't start in a political office. It didn't begin in an art gallery either. Far from it. I met my wife on Hinge, so there's still hope for those dating apps, he joked once. That's right. The future mayor of New York met his wife on a dating app. She had just moved to NYC in 2021, looking for artistic inspiration, while Zoran was already making noise as a rising state assemblyman. They dated quietly for a while. Then, in early 2025, the couple got married in Dubai, a private, luxurious ceremony. But here's the twist. It was a civil wedding. If I hadn't known, I would have sworn it was a religious ceremony. And although some people criticize them for keeping their marriage out of the spotlight, the truth is this. Their union is warm, intimate, supportive, romantic in the kind of way you don't need to post online to prove. The truth is, every movement needs a face, but every face needs a force behind it. And for Zohran Mamdani, that force is his wife. But here's the part most people never saw coming. Marriage isn't the only thing Mamdani kept quiet, and you're just about to find out why. Luxury lifestyle. Wealth has a smell. It doesn't shout, it whispers. It slips through a room the same way Zohran Mamdani does. Quiet, polished, intentional. You can try to hide that kind of wealth, but trust me, it always finds a way to reveal itself. Now, Zoran's personal net worth is estimated at around $300,000. Sounds modest, right? But the real story isn't in the number, it's in the network. And you're about to see exactly what that means. For starters, Zoran isn't the type to flaunt diamond watches or pose on yachts. His version of luxury is subtle, felt more in the fabric, the scent, the posture, than in the price tags. And during his campaign, did you catch the whispers? Rumors that he had hired a celebrity stylist, the kind who dresses CEOs and pop stars, charging as much as $10,000 per session. Critics called it hypocrisy. I call it strategy. Because in New York, appearance isn't optional, it's half the argument. I've seen many wardrobes, politicians, actors, moguls, but none told stories the way Zoran's did. Silver rings that represent his faith and identity. Handcrafted pieces designed to speak without saying a word. The handcrafted suits he wears blend African texture with Indian precision. And when his wife Rama walked beside him on election night, wrapped in a designer outfit that set social media on fire, it wasn't just fashion, it was a statement. Unless you're absolutely blind, you can see it. This couple isn't just dressing well, they're dressing for history. But clothes are only one chapter of this story. Let's talk real estate, because that's where quiet wealth prefers to hide. While most politicians scramble for small condos, Zoran's family estate in Uganda is the kind of property locals whisper about. A massive compound near the Nile River, guarded by armed security and listed on Airbnb for nearly $1,000 a night. And yes, he owns land there too. Prime land near the Nile, valued around $300,000 on its own. Add that to his personal net worth of $300,000, and you start to understand something deeper. Zoran may live simply, but his foundations are built on luxury soil. Even his travels reveal more than he says. Flying to Uganda in July 2025 for a family retreat, jetting to Puerto Rico right after winning the election, staying 6 nights at the Caribe Hilton for $700 a night. Critics pounced, but I've learned one thing about people who orbit power. Rest isn't indulgence, it's survival. And behind all that quiet comfort stands a family legacy that is anything but quiet. The last time I checked, his parents' combined net worth hovered around $20 million. But here's the thing, Zoran doesn't flaunt that wealth. He follows it, he grew up in its shadow. So yes, Zoran talks about equality. He champions taxing the rich. But let's not pretend he doesn't understand wealth. He was born inside its walls. The truth is, you can try to hide money, but grace, taste, and access always leave footprints. So what do you think? Is Zohran Mamdani truly the people's mayor, or just another power player dressed in purpose? Let me know in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe for more.